Hey everyone, Leo is here. Another Jumpstart Lightning episode. I have my friend here with me, Tony. We are announcing Edge Storage Accelerator. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Leo is here. Another Jumpstart Lightning episode, a special one. We have some cool announcements. But first thing first, I have my friend here with me, Tony. Tony, how you doing?
Good. How about you, Leo?
I'm doing awesome. Tony, this is a special episode. I always like to announce things alongside with the product managers, and this is one of those occasions. But before we're starting to nerd out on all things storage, who you are, what is it that you do?
Yeah, so my name's Tony Joint. I'm a senior program manager here with Azure Edge and Platform team, working on storage products.
Tony, we've been talking with customers a lot about the notion of storage at the edge. Right. Obviously, we have a lot of solutions here in Azure when it comes to storage. Been there like for years, but now we're coming up with something new. So, what is it that we are announcing here today, Tony?
Yeah. So today we get to announce the Edge Storage Accelerator, and this is a package to enable storage at the edge for customers that are using Arc-connected Kubernetes. As you mentioned, the core in the public cloud, we've got a lot of storage options, but for people that are operating at the edge, the Kubernetes storage options are bring your own. So with this product, we're going to be providing some storage options that give ease of use and more options for operators and devs at the edge.
So, Tony, before just kind of talking about the architecture here, and I know that you also have a cool demo to show me, what are the use cases for this? Like, why do we want to create our own storage solution for edge deployments?
Yeah, so like I mentioned at the edge, if you want different storage options, you really have to bring them yourself. There's third-party plugins, there's network-based storage options that are available, aside from direct attached storage. But none of those bring everything together and give you a seamless experience. And so what we wanted to do here with Edge Storage Accelerator is give an option that gives you a similar capability list to what you have in public cloud, so that you can develop your apps and not have to be concerned with also developing a storage system to enable that as well.
Okay, so will it be fair to say that you guys are using the same construct as Kubernetes? I think that you also, that's exactly what you're showing here on screen, right? With that architecture diagram, it's the same API, same construct, right?
Yeah, so for customers that are building pods and building their applications in Kubernetes, the interface to the storage accelerator is the default that you would use for Kubernetes apps. So we're using we're using custom storage classes to drive a persistent volume and a persistent volume claim that then enables your pod to talk to the Edge Storage Accelerator, and it uses a files-based interface. So from a development standpoint, it looks just like a file system that you would have mounted locally.
So basically just using the general concept of CSI drivers in a Kubernetes cluster.
Correct. Yeah. And then we take that a step further and give additional capabilities with cloud, with edge to cloud that you wouldn't have with just a local file system.
So how does that exactly work? I mean, can you show me kind of the picture here on how ESA is, ESA, that's how we call it, in an acronym fashion, right? But how does that look like from a cloud to edge or edge to cloud standpoint?
Yeah, so the ESA gives you a number of options when you're developing your pod and your applications. So the ESA solution gives multiple tiers of solution for your implementation. So as I mentioned, you get a CSI driver interface to a ReadWriteMany file system. So you could think about this as similar to something like NFS, but with a local mount type interface. And then below that, we add additional features to show that this is a distributed file system. We've got portions of the system that are running on each node, and that gives us the ability to weather node failures or failovers of pods. Every pod will have a direct connection to the Edge Storage Accelerator on their local node. Those nodes do talk to each other, and they do so using open service mesh, so it's secured. And then even below that, we have a fault-tolerant disk layer that we're implementing as well with the solution. So not only do you get the capability of ReadWriteMany, but you also have your data replicated on the bottom of that if you have a multi-node solution, so that you can weather node failures and failovers with keeping your data intact. So there's multiple levels here to provide ease of use and reliability.
So, if I'm reading that diagram that we're seeing here, right, that storage or those files that are getting written into the volume, right, at the end of the day, ESA is responsible to taking those files and convert those, right, into a blob format, right, and put that basically in a blob target, or a blob destination.
Yeah. So one of the areas of flexibility for our customers is that you have the data local. We handle the data local storage, but we also then copy those files in blob format out to the public cloud, and that gives you a couple benefits. First, you can leverage the cloud and Power BI for visualization. So you can leverage the power of the cloud for long-term data analysis. But the other is it also gives you an elasticity to your file system. So you only have a finite amount of space local to your edge cluster, but there's much more space available to you in blob storage. So those files that have been copied out, if they need to be copied back because of a need to access those at the edge, the Edge Storage Accelerator will facilitate that for you, so that you have that flexibility of having your data where you need it.
And that's a very interesting perspective on this, because, as we were talking about the edge deployments, we're always trying to make things a bit smaller, right? And when you have these small form factor, sometimes you only have like one node or maybe two node Kubernetes clusters that you're running your stuff on, right? Storage options in those clusters usually are pretty limited, right? I mean, unless you have like some sort of an external NFS sitting next to the cluster, which is, again, at that point kind of beats the purpose of being a bit smaller. So what I'm hearing is, okay, so it's a local cache that is saving all the files locally, and then basically move those files into a blob format. And one more reaction here or observation, Tony. In the Azure IoT Operations video series that we did, we talked a lot about the notion of data, right? Because at the end of the day, this is what this is all about, right? It's about bringing the data, use the data that is coming from, either the plant, the retail store, the kiosk machine or what have you, and analyze that data. And I think that one key aspect here, and again, I'm just kind of picking on Azure OneLake just as an example, because that is basically our way to move things forward towards the Fabric universe, and obviously Power BI being part of that as well. So that's another interesting element.
Yeah,
Tony, I like to see demos around this stuff, and I know that you have a cool demo to show me here. So what is it that we have here?
The demo that we have here takes the design of a factory that in this simulation is making bolts, and we have a camera that captures a video feed of the bolts running down the line, and then we take that and we apply a model to it to detect defects, and then the output of that gets saved to the local disk. As far as the application is concerned, it's just writing it a local file. But underneath that is a mount to the Edge Storage Accelerator, and so that data gets stored locally and then copied off to Blob for further processing. So the customer still has access to it local, but it's now been saved out to Blob as well.
Interesting. I like these demos that we're not just showing, hey, here's a feature and here's how you deploy it, but also how they are trying to connect, like potentially a real world use case to this type of stuff. Interesting.
Would you like to see?
Of course. Show me the magic.
All right. So we have a system here that has been built via Jumpstart. And so this gives us the Windows IoT with AKS Edge Essentials. On top of that, we have installed via the Jumpstart Edge Storage Accelerator and the demonstration pods. Along with the system that's running the demo, there's also a Blob Storage account that's here. And within that storage account, we have a container that is currently empty. So if we take a look into the Kubernetes system, we've got OSM that I mentioned, Azure Arc, and Edge Storage Accelerator pods. We're running our service with a load balancer, so we've got that information here. So if we connect to our application, you can see we've got our assembly line, we've got bolts running along, and we are using our model to identify those that are not perfect. And we are saving those locally with annotations as to what the defect is. And then that data then will get duplicated out to our container in the cloud. So now we can analyze that later or just save it for historical purposes.
I think that went really fast, and just kind of to to show the or explain this to the viewers, that defects, right, that you just that you just showed me as part of the model, right? The data that was stored, first of all, it went into ESA, or the volumes that are mounted via ESA, correct?
Yes. So
and then it basically moved into a blob. Yeah.
Yeah. So they are still available on the local system. They are listed here, and if you enter into the Kubernetes pod, you can also see those. Yeah.
Super cool. Well, I like I like these short and sweet demos, Tony, because it really shows the value prop, and that's exactly kind of what we're trying to do in this episode. So again, announcement. Edge Storage Accelerator, as of today, available in public preview, right, Tony?
Yes, available today.
All right, and obviously we're going to link all the links in the description below, and obviously the Jumpstart scenario that you guys develop against that, so people can actually do what you just showed in this recording. And for the Jumpstart viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to like, subscribe. As you can see, a lot of cool things are coming down the pipe, and we're going to see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.